Just wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the teachers that have really influenced me and some of the ones I'd recommend you following and maybe taking their classes at Fiddle Online. The first teacher I'd like to talk about is Ellen Carlson. She's an amazing violin player, fiddle player, country and bluegrass styles. I have worked with her many a time, and she really excels as a teacher. She has a background as a math teacher in the public school systems. One of the classes I recommend you take of hers is playing fiddle on a basic bluegrass song that you may have never heard before. That's very common in a bluegrass jam. You're going to be hearing songs that you've never heard before with 2, 3, or maybe 4 chords in it. So this one will really help you approach that situation and give you some strategies to excel in that scenario. Next one is Daryl Enger. You've probably heard him from Artist Works, perhaps. He's been a teacher and actually was awarded the Teacher of the Year from the American String Teachers Association this year. He's doing a class on iconic fiddle breaks. I've learned many fiddle break from him, some of the early iconic bluegrass fiddle breaks. For example, one of the first ones I learned of his was Can't You Hear Me Callin'? And he's really got the style down of that early bluegrass. He can help get that language in your fingers. So make sure to check out that one and maybe check out his classes on Artist Works or his things on YouTube. He has a lot of good material on YouTube for free. Next up is Andy Reiner. Andy and his father run the Fiddle Online Festival. Andy lives in Colorado and is a fantastic both teacher and performer, known for his 5-string fiddle playing. Make sure to check out his class at Fiddle Online about people who are new to jamming. So this is not just bluegrass jamming, but all sorts of fiddle styles jamming. So if that's something you're new to, maybe you're coming from a classical background or a background that just doesn't include that sort of informal jamming, he'll show you how to make friends quickly and to work out some of the kinks of joining on a jam, a fiddle styles jam. Next up is Bruce Molsky, the man I learned to fiddle and sing at the same time. He started it all back when I was a teenager. I took this very same class here that he's offering on singing and playing with the fiddle. He'll start with the very basics, being able to sing and play the same note at the same time. He'll work on harmonizing and some accompaniment techniques you could use when you're singing and playing fiddle at the same time. I mentioned Andy Reiner before. Here's his father, Dave Reiner. The two of them put on this Fiddle Online event, and one of the classes I recommend you take of his is making sense of chords. So if you're coming from a background that doesn't think about chords, this could be a really great class for you. If that's maybe it's a classical background or a Irish or Scottish or Celtic contra dance background. If you're looking to play in a folk, country, rock, jazz setting, anytime you need to know those chords, this would be a great class for you. Next up is Jay Unger, who of course you probably know as the author of the great fiddle waltz, Ashokan Farewell. He is a master of composition and has written tons and tons of tunes. I can't recommend this class highly enough. I'm looking forward to taking it myself, how to capture emotion and mood in composition. So he's going to talk about some of the strategies that have worked for him in his composition, in his various composition techniques. So make sure to check out that class and also see all the amazing work he's doing at the Ashokan Center at ashokancenter.org. Next up is Justin Branham. You might know him from his online YouTube presence. He's a fantastic teacher and he plays just great bluegrass and western and swing fiddle. One of the classes I recommend of his is building a hot fiddle break from scratch. So he's going to teach you how to take a maybe basic melody and add double stops and all sorts of bowings and licks to help it sound more bluegrass. He's also teaching a great class on western and swing fiddle. I highly encourage you to follow him on YouTube as well. He's got some great free YouTube content. I believe his name on YouTube is Master Fiddle. Next up is Tracy Silverman. I took my first class with Tracy Silverman back in the first time I attended Berkeley's summer camp, and he really taught me to start to groove on the fiddle, to get a sense for what it means to play in all sorts of groove-based styles, whether that's rock or country or bluegrass or Celtic, Irish, contra dancing, getting into the habit of using your bow like a guitarist might use a pick. He's just really mastered this, and in fact he's developed a whole method around it called the strum bowing method. So make sure to check out that class. It'll really help you unlock just grooving with the bow in general. And of course, I wouldn't want to forget, I highly recommend you take some of the classes that I'll be teaching at Fiddle Hell. One of the ones that I'll be teaching is moving fiddle licks around in a musical context. So that's taking a lick that you might have learned from another teacher, but learning not only how to transpose it to make it work in other styles, but also to put it in real musical scenarios so that they're more likely to come out in your improvisation. So we're going to practice those licks along with different songs so that we can kind of get that transition. You've also probably heard about my Bobby Hicks series. So I'm going to be taking some of the licks that I have taught over the years in my YouTube Bobby Hicks series. Bobby Hicks is an amazing bluegrass fiddler. He worked with some of the greatest bluegrass musicians in the genre, and his licks are just really a staple in the repertoire of any bluegrass fiddler. So we'll look at some of those together and transpose them in ways that I haven't done in my YouTube videos before. If you haven't seen that series yet, make sure to check it out on YouTube. It's called the Bobby Hicks series. If you search that into YouTube, you should be able to find it, and it has a bunch of transcriptions of his solos on famous recordings. And I break it down and talk about what he's thinking in each moment. Here are some of the mandolin teachers I recommend, and some of the classes they'll be teaching at this upcoming Fiddle Hell Online. First one I'd like to recommend is a good friend of mine, Dan Bowie. He plays an amazing crossover fusion group called Twisted Pine, and he is just a rhythm machine. It's for that reason that I recommend his class on the basics of mandolin groove, where he's going to be talking about not only the basic boom chuck, but all the different variations that you can get from that, switching in and out of that standard kind of double time feel into a half time feel that's more groovy and funk influenced. He's really a master of that, and I can't recommend that highly enough. This next musician here has blown me away every time I've heard him play. He's one of the greatest and most technically proficient mandolinists I know. Emory Lester is going to be teaching a class on right hand technique. I am personally looking forward to taking this class and reviewing the replay. He is going to be talking about Monroe style mandolin playing in the right hand and different ways that you can get some articulations and rhythms that are specific to the bluegrass genre. That's really going to unlock kind of your creative potential on the mandolin. He's also got this great interview on Mandolin Cafe where he talks about the history, some of his inspirations, and just general mandolin inspiration. So make sure to check that out. Last teacher I want to mention here is Maddie Whitler. Maddie Whitler is going to be teaching a class on time and rhythm, and this is going to be not only in bluegrass, but all sorts of chopping and strumming, cross-picking styles. So you'll get a lot of ideas for the different ways that you can play rhythm and also develop a strong sense of time through this class. Anyway, I hope you'll consider following these teachers online and maybe looking at their classes up at this upcoming Fiddle Hell Online. Hope to see you there.